We are today with Professor Joel Stern, who is Chairman and CEO of Stern Stewart. Professor Stern, welcome to UFM in your first visit to Guatemala, I understand?
That's right.
Hello. In contrast to the accounting model and its problems, your concepts of free cash flow and EVA have now become generic, and many companies are trying to implement them in Latin America. How do you think an entrepreneur can benefit from them?
Well, an entrepreneur is like anybody else. The entrepreneur wants to maximize the value of the organization. Incidentally, if people attempt to maximize the value, they will also increase their borrowing capacity. That is, lenders will want to lend them more money and give them as much resources as they want. The most important thing, though, about these concepts has to do with generating a trail of success so that the reputation of the entrepreneur goes from one of experimentation to one of accomplishment. And one of the nice things about the ideas that I have tried to develop is that they provide an objective scoring system so that whether it's the entrepreneur himself, or it's the shareholders, or members of the family, or in the outside world, it might be bankers who might want to do business with them, or it might be the average person in the street. Take a look, for example, at how wonderful people have felt now in the last several years about what the late Stephen Jobs did. He came from no place. He even dropped out of university, and he had ideas, and he pushed and pushed, and he developed those ideas, but the first time he came around, it was not successful. He even was kicked out of his own company. But he went off and let his mind wander again, and he developed something called Pixar, and also something else called Next in the computer business. And people said, can this be the same person as was unsuccessful before? Now, of course, the answer is that most people who are entrepreneurs, and I consider myself to be one of them in the development of our ideas through my firm, Stern Stewart, I say the first few times I tried something, it was not greatly successful. I had to think about what I had done wrong. The problem with some people who are entrepreneurs, though, is they are too arrogant. They think they cannot make mistakes, or everybody will simply have to change their way of thinking and adopt their point of view. So there is a building process, there is a learning process, but the value of my approach to both measuring performance and to rewarding performance is that the entrepreneur, who was very important at the beginning, becomes less and less important. The people in the organization become more and more important because under my approach to measuring performance, I believe the task is not over until we design a way to have incentives for all employees in the organization. In other words, where corporations often say, we have employees, I say, we don't want employees. We want people to become partners in the creation of value, so that as we drill this further and further down into the organization, people are almost wearing little badges on their sleeve that say, waste not, want not. I will only ask for resources if I can create value with those resources.
Could you describe the cultural change in a company when EVA is implemented?
Well,
Maybe give some examples.
Yes, but there's something that must precede it, unfortunately. EVA can never be successful in an organization where the chief executive officer and/or the founder does not have a high degree of respect and interest in the employees who are downstairs. The most impressive people I have ever dealt with around the world have been in places like Singapore, India, South Africa, and what is the nature of what happens? I was traveling one time with the chief executive of a company in India on his campus. He has a gigantic campus where his headquarters is located, with thousands of people working. And suddenly he stopped his motor car and he said, I'll be right back. He got up and walked out, and walked over to a gardener. A gardener. When he came back, I said, "What's doing?" "His wife has cancer," he said. "Everybody's important to me. I won't let anything happen to her. If I can help, I'm there." And he knows it too. "But that's part of your EVA philosophy," he said. "You may not even realize it's part of your philosophy. Your attitude is, we don't have employees. We have a gang of people who are trying to make beautiful music together. And the way we express that music is we say, we want to reward all the people who participated in that process. That I, as a major shareholder," he said, "I may get a disproportionate amount, but I never forget the people who helped me develop this program."
A very popular tool these days is the balance scorecard. And Robert Kaplan himself wrote that it could be used with EVA. What are your thoughts about it?
Well, what happened was that Bob Kaplan, who had been the dean at Carnegie Mellon, and he was also a graduate of the same school I went to, the University of Chicago, we were friends for many, many, many years. And then one day, after EVA became popular and the balance scorecard became popular, the Financial Executives Institute, it's called, the FEI, which has chapters all around, they have a major conference they do, and they were doing it in Boston, which was very convenient for him, because Harvard, which is where he teaches, it was located right there. So he was the first speaker. And it was extremely impressive to listen to all the wonderful things they had to say about his career, because he not only developed the balance scorecard, he also developed something that's called in accounting ABC, which stands for activity-based costing, which is a very clever concept too. He's just full of these very good ideas. But he got up to speak. And when the questions and answers took place, people said, "Well, Joel Stern's going to be speaking after you. What do you think about EVA?" "Oh, no," he said, "EVA and the balance scorecard, they are in harmony with each other." And then I got up to speak, and when it was over, somebody said, "What do you think about the balance scorecard?" I said, "Well, first I should tell you that until now, Bob Kaplan has been my friend. But after this, he may not be as close a friend." I said, "I've got two problems with the balance scorecard. Number one, it's not balanced. And number two, it does not give you a score. What it does tell you is about the things that are important in the organization that are not being measured by the accounting. But the problem is, there can be as many as 14 to 16 measures in the balance scorecard. And unfortunately, it doesn't tell you how to assess which ones are the most important and which ones are the least important. In other words, there's no way to prioritize. One more thing I said. Let's assume that people put a bonus scheme in place based on the balance scorecard. But let's assume that the firm that does that does not generate positive EVA, that is good performance. I have a question. Who's going to pay for the bonuses? What will have to happen under a balanced scorecard in a company that's not doing well is that the financing of the bonuses will have to come from the shareholders. Under an EVA program, you can have the best balanced scorecard in the world, but if you don't generate value, you're not going to get a bonus under my program.
Finally, if you could talk to shareholder of a private company in Latin America, what is the best piece of advice you could think of?
Well, I don't know, because I don't know how much influence the shareholder might have. But in my view, if firms were to implement an EVA management system with a bonus scheme, but they only did it for the very top management, the top management meaning the very top people and their immediate direct reports, only those people go on the program, you get about 30% of the benefits. If you carry the ideas down to middle management, you get about 70% of the benefits. But if you carry it right down to the bottom, you get all of the benefits. I just asked this question: why would the board of directors or the top management want to leave people out if by including them, the performance of the firm will be much better?
Thank you very much, Professor Stern. It's been a pleasure. And thank you to the UFM community. I'll see you soon.